Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahabati ajma'een. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. So Alhamdulillah, we've entered the final few days of this blessed month um, at the new time of 9:45. Alhamdulillah. Today, the garden that we're going to be looking at is the garden referred to as Ithar in Arabic, which basically means preferring others over oneself. Now, in Arabic, the word Ithar comes from the root Athara, which means a mark or a trace. For example, your traces in the sand can be referred to as your Athar, if you like. We also know that historical relics, for example, are also referred to as Athar. Take an example here: the cloak, the Prophet alayhi salam, which is housed in Fatih in Istanbul to this day. People visit this place. That is an Athar. And it's interesting that in the Arabic language, we choose to call something, something so blessed an Athar, since the idea here is that such things leave their mark or their traces on us, on our hearts. It's an incredible idea. We have other words such as athara yu'athir, which literally means to affect someone or to be a cause, if you like. And then we have the reflexive form, which is ta'athara, from the form tafa'ala, ta'athara, to be affected. And then we have form 4 just before that, which is athara yu'thiru, to affect others, which is the topic of our discussion today. Athara yu'thiru ithar, to affect others by preferring them over ourselves. And that's why the study of Arabic as a language is so incredibly rewarding and so incredibly enriching. The scholars would say that you should learn Arabic because it sharpens your intellect. It increases one in their intellectual capacity. Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu would say, تعلموا العربية فإنها لغة دينكم, that learn the Arabic language because it is the language of your deen. So it's something which the more you study, the more its intricacies begin to unravel themselves for us. We begin to realize that it's such a faith, I don't want to say enriching, because alhamdulillah, our faith should be enriched, but it's something which really does make you sit back and think, this is incredible, the way that this language has been put together. No human could have put this language together in this way. Perhaps, maybe, I don't know, CMC could launch an online Arabic program. People could express their interest and let us know what they think. But this beautiful quality of Ithar, we can illustrate it from the life of the Prophet ﷺ. In fact, no matter how we can read the seerah multiple times over, we can read the seerah again and again and again. And each time that we read the seerah, we can pause and reflect on one quality. So we start and say, this time I'm going to read the seerah, and all I'm going to focus on is the quality of Ithar. That's it. That's your focus on reading. Next time you start again, you say, okay, this time I'm going to see patience. Next time you say tawakkul. Or you can take a list of qualities and read the seerah each time with this list of qualities in front of you. And you'll see that every page of the seerah is full of all of these qualities. And no sooner would be finished, our lives would come to an end that we wouldn't be able to finish the qualities of the Prophet ﷺ, no matter how many times we tried reading the seerah. So alhamdulillah, we see that an example here is the just before the time of revelation. Our specific example, to take Ithar as a quality, when the Prophet ﷺ, we know, would go to the cave of Hira, and there he would spend time alone. Now, what's interesting here is that we're told that kana yatazawwadu, the Prophet ﷺ, which basically means that he would take to the cave of Hira all by himself, spend periods of time just with him, contemplation. I mean, we know, for example, that the Prophet ﷺ, just prior to revelation, It's there in our sources that the stones would began to give their salutations to the Prophet alayhi salam. Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. The stones, and he said that I know the stones that would give me salutations before the revelation came to this day. They're in Ajyad. It's a place in Makkah for all that have visited, right? And so we know that that when he used to go to the cave, kana yatazawwad, basically means that he would take zad, which is food, provisions with him, and then he would go back to the cave again. Why was the Prophet ﷺ taking food with him? The amazing thing about this is that the Prophet ﷺ, he's taking food to the cave of Hira because the poor people of Mecca would come to the Prophet ﷺ for food and provision. He would take care of the disadvantaged people in society so that they would follow him to the cave, and he wouldn't forget about them. Even when he was in his khalwa, in his state of being just with him and his Lord, he's not forgetting that he has a responsibility towards khalqullah, the creation of Allah. So he's taking food to make sure that those that rely on him for their provisions, they're not going hungry. Even in that state, it's incredible. So he would take this food and he would then distribute it to the poor of Mecca. At times, we know, in fact, that the Prophet ﷺ, he would come back every few days, that he wouldn't even reach home because Sayyidah Khadija, our mother, radiallahu ta'ala anha, she would already be on her way to Hira and they would meet halfway. Allahu Akbar. That intuitive understanding of each other. It's an amazing story, Like when the Prophet ﷺ, when he's asked about Sayyidah Khadija, he said there was no one like her because she believed in me when no one else did. It's a deep, deep story of not only how a couple and a married union is supposed to be, but what it means to support each other, even in the face of such difficulty that they face. Tabarakallah. So the second thing that it's showing us is the other garden, which is the garden of Tawakkul, the garden of reliance on Allah. So what the Prophet ﷺ is showing us is that if you want to do certain things and not just anything, you need to go and prepare yourself. The Prophet ﷺ said that Abitu inda Rabbi, I spend my nights with my Lord. Yut'imuni, he's the one who feeds me. So he doesn't, in that sense, but he's telling us that you need to take your provisions, you need to prepare yourself for whatever you're going to do. If you don't, then it's, like I say, it's not that saying that Umar said in our gathering on Tawakkul, and when he was told about the group of people who came from Yemen and they hadn't bought any provisions with them, and they said, "Who are you?" They said, "We're mutawakkilun, we're the ones who rely on Allah." And he said, "No, you're battalun, you're the ones who completely give lie to that idea. That's not tawakkul." Now, so this is the whole episode, that scene in the cave, that's an entirely separate gathering that I hope we can get to one day, where that scene where the Prophet ﷺ is about to engage Jibril ﷺ in the moment of revelation, this moment of history, this moment of sacredness, this moment when the heavens communicate with the earth, this moment when Allah communicates with his beloved, right? And they say, Ibn Abi Jamrah in his commentary on Bukhari, the great scholar, he says that part of when you speak to someone, when you address them initially, is that you address them with things that they're aware of. Because if you said something to them that they don't know or not aware of, they don't know what you're talking about, right? If someone's is being approached by someone for the first time and they're being spoken to about something that they have no reference for, they'll say, "I don't know what that is," right? Look at the first thing that comes down to the Prophet ﷺ. Iqra bismi rabbik. Read in the name of your Lord. He didn't say, "Who's my Lord?" Right? He said, "What shall I read?" There's two interpretations here. Ma ana biqari, which is I don't read. But there's also the interpretation which is ma ana biqari, what should I read? Right? So that's a whole separate discussion. But so when the Prophet ﷺ comes back to Khadija, when he returns home, it's a powerful event. Look at this is now the Athar part of it. Look what happens. This is what she says to him. She says, because he's over, it's a powerful experience. He says, "Zammiluni, zammiluni, cover me, cover me." And she says, Kalla wallahi ma yukhzika Allahu abada. That Allah will never abase you. And what is the proof that she puts forward for this? Ithar. The fact that he prefers other people over himself. What does she say? Innaka la tasilur rahim. That you maintain the bonds of kinship. Those who want to maintain kinship with you, or those who don't want to maintain the kinship with you. Because you see, in that is such a deep lesson for us. What's the lesson? The fact that who is the Prophet ﷺ calling in Makkah? Essentially, at some stage of their lineage, they're all related, the Makkans. He's calling his kin. Did he ever stop and say, yeah, it's been 4 years now, and they're not really listening to me, so let me just give up? No, never. Look, they fought him. Right? They chased the companions out. Right? They tortured his companions. But did he ever stop calling them to Allah and himself, the Risala, as a prophet? No, never, ever, ever. That's a lesson for us of how we deal with our own family. Again, I'll repeat what we've said consistently throughout all of these gatherings. What we need is a deep level engagement with the seerah on a daily basis to understand how we're meant to navigate this thing that we call life. And so, again, why is the rahim, innaka latasilu rahim, that you join the bonds of kinship, you maintain them. Because rahim in Arabic is the word, same root word for the womb. The idea being is that at some stage in your lineage, you join together, you share the same womb. That's why it's so important never to forget that. Now, those people who are really special, they look one step beyond and they say, well, at some stage, all of us are joined in the womb when we go back to Adam alayhi salam and Hawa alayha salam. And so for them, there's goodness toward everyone and all people. It's how you understand it. Then what does she say? The Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha, that you maintain the ties of kinship, وَتَحْمِلُ الْكَلْ. Now, that you carry the burden of the weak. In other words, before revelation, what's the Prophet ﷺ doing? He's serving the people, he's helping the people, he's assisting people. Tahmid, you're carrying their burdens. Naam, you're maintaining ties of kinship, you're carrying people's burdens, right? What taksibul ma'doom. It's a very, very eloquent statement, this in Arabic, that you reap gain for everyone. Anyone who comes into contact with you, whether it through trade, and we know Sayyidah Khadija is an example of this herself, where she gave the Prophet ﷺ, trading caravan, and she said, I never had made that much from my trade prior to this. That anyone who comes into contact with him gains, whether it's through trade or just through him. No human being ever came into contact with him except that they left having benefited. But there's another meaning that can be gained from this as well, taksibul ma'doom, because it literally means that you're bringing out something from nothing. Ma'doom in Arabic is nothingness, a state of total absence, complete negation. And so it can also mean that you sustain and take care of those who are unknown, those who no one knows about. You take care of those people. And how much emphasis does our deen place on that idea? The idea of don't seek to be known, right? Worship, wander the earth, and that earth doesn't have to be the physical earth, the earth of your mind, and worship Allah. You and Allah. Remove everyone from in between, right? We're told that renown, i.e., this want to be known, it's a punishment that people seek. And wanting to remain hidden is a blessing that people don't seem to desire, just not wanting to be known by people, right? I mean, that's one of the problems of the modern world, that I wonder how many people may have read my post. I wonder how many people may have commented. How many people may have shared what I've just said or liked what I've just said. I mean, a recent study showed that one of the cause of massive mental disturbance and mental health in teenagers is Instagram, for example, right? Because desire that we're creating a false sense of worth in ourselves by looking at things that in fact intrinsically have no worth. And that's something we have to learn how to do and inculcate in our children and in ourselves, of course, as well. And then what does she say, radiallahu ta'ala anha? That what taqrib dayf, and you honor your guests. In other words, she's speaking about his blessed and noble character, describing all the beautiful things that she does. And each one of them speaks about how he prefers other people over himself. Allahu Akbar. That this thing that just come to you, this engagement, Allah, Allah, it cannot be anything apart from Allah honoring you. Naam. And that's why when they go to Waraqa bin Nawfal, who's the relative of Sayyidah Khadija, what does he recognizes this immediately and says, this is the An-Namusul Akbar who comes to all the prophets. And he said, if I were young, I would support and I would assist you. And then in fact, he tells the Prophet ﷺ that you will be driven out of Makkah. And the Prophet ﷺ says that they're going to expel me. But what's the reason for that, right? It's so unfathomable that here's a person who everyone respects and honors, and because he's calling them to a message of tawheed and to be good, to live an equitable and just life, doesn't make any sense. Why would they want to chase me out, right? Now, so we also find an example here in the lives of because you see, the companions, they graduated from which madrasa did they graduate from? They graduated from the madrasa of prophetic character. We see, for example, in Sayyidina Umar's life, when he was assassinated, that he's there on his deathbed and he says to his son, Abdullah, radiyallahu anhu, that go and ask al-Mu'mineen, Aisha, that if she would permit me to be buried next to my two companions, the Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr. Because don't forget, they're buried in her house. That's her room that they're buried in. The Prophet ﷺ he's buried where he went to meet his Lord. And her father is there. And so she had wanted to be buried next to them, her husband and her father, tabarakallah. So Sayyidina Umar seeks permission to want to be buried there. And so when Abdullah bin Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu goes to say that Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha to seek permission, she says, I had wanted that for myself, but I'm going to prefer Amir al-Mu'mineen. I mean, it's incredible, because what more honor can someone have than being laid to rest next to the Prophet alayhi salam? But look at Sayyidina Umar again. He says, wait until I'm dead, wait until I'm no longer in this life, and ask her again, because she may have said that not wanting to upset me in the state that I'm in now. They're thinking about each other, And so they go and take the request again to say that Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, and she agrees, and that's where he's buried, next to his two companions. What a great honor. These are the people, the people who preferred the akhirah over themselves, the people who preferred the akhirah over the world, the people who preferred others over themselves, the people who preferred understanding over resentment, the people who preferred forgiveness over hard feelings. Preference it's not just giving, it's even these psychological relationship our psychological being in terms of love and forgiveness and all these things. That's where it's the hardest, right? Because sometimes you can have a piece of food or something, you can easily give it because you can go and get someone. To forgive is harder because sometimes you might be right and someone may have wronged you, but to forgive someone who's wronged you is not easy. Now, so it comes under this aspect of just preferring others over yourself, giving people the benefit of the doubt. So alhamdulillah, incredible gardens that Imam Nawawi has blessed us with. A man who himself lived in these gardens, died at the age of 44, rahimahullah ta'ala, incredibly young, one of the greatest scholars that our ummah has ever produced. So inshallah, we have a few more days to journey through these gardens, alhamdulillah. If anyone has any questions, we might just take a few moments to pause and take some questions, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, there's no question today. Incredible. This is always a good sign that people are. Oh, there is one. Sorry, I missed it. Like salam, how do you balance the preference of others over ourselves? We're maintaining healthy boundaries and not allowing others to harm or humiliate. So it's important as well. So if you have people that rely on you, such as immediate family members, it's important to make sure that your family members are taken care of, because that is preferring them in many ways as well. So it's what they say, awla fa awla. Those that are immediately dependent on you, and then the circle grows out like that. So it's what you, it's not a wise idea to do, even though there's scholars who won't discourage it either, but it's not a wise thing that you just take the food of your family and give it to people, if your family are the ones that rely on you. So that's something which we should keep in mind. um Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So there's a question, or there's a comment here that you mentioned before, that time seems to be going quicker. Yeah, because it's the measure of time, right? The measure of time is according to um, new change, and we have just too many things that change now. So our perception of time is what changes because of the things that change, which are so many around us. Um, I did speak about that in one of the previous gatherings in a little bit more detail. Why time seems to be a little bit quicker. So I can't remember which one it was. If someone does, then they're welcome to just post that. I didn't understand the relation between Athar and Ithar. So Athar is a trace or a mark that when you walk in sand, you leave Athar, you leave footprints. And so that's the root word from which Ithar comes from. It because Arabic works based on stems, and you add letters to those stems and you get more and more meaning. There's a saying in Arabic, ziyadatul mabani tadullu ala ziyadatil ma'ani, that the more you increase a base root word, the more meanings and richness that you get from it. So athar is the basic root word, and from it you get ithar, which is preferring others, with the basic idea that you're leaving a mark on others because you prefer them over yourselves, over ourselves. Yes, can you sometime refer us to some Arabic learning courses that are available? I mean, like I mentioned, you never know. If there's enough voice, maybe you can convince Sidi Tariq to get the ball rolling and set up an online Arabic program. We don't know. Alhamdulillah. Your thoughts on Ithar in the Quran. That's one of the fundamental messages of the Quran, is Ithar, preferring others over yourself. There's dictionaries that you can buy that relate the words in that relay the words in the Quran, and if you look under the word Ithar, you'll see about how many different places in the Quran Allah Azza wa Jal speaks about preferring others over yourselves. And so again, it's one of the principles, if you like, of our faith, one of the guiding lights of how we should understand. Alhamdulillah. 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 Excellent. Thank you so much. There was a question which is um, is it possible to have an off-topic question? And as our brother Tariq has just said to us, that we may on Friday just have a session which is just Q&A. Let's see, time and circumstances permitting. Who knows? We may be able to get a group of the lecturers together in one sitting, that everyone can then engage for maybe an hour and a half with a number of people. Let's see if we can do that, and then we can have maybe some questions and answers, inshallah. Until tomorrow, look forward to seeing you. Please keep us in your prayers. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu.